Welcome, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. It's Sunday night. This is Tottenham Takes episode 6, back on the Spurs Talk Show. It's a later than scheduled version of the show for you night owls out there. Settle in. Make yourself a cup of cocoa. We got lots to talk about with three of the greatest, three of the nicest Tottenham guys in the community that decided to join us for the evening. Let's bring them in. We got Deji, man like Jacob, and of course, Henry Wright from Henry Wright TV. How's everybody doing? Henry, I'll start with you, seeing as you're right here. How are you, Henry?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah, I played Sunday League today, and we got absolutely battered. So that's always good to look forward to. But
Did you play?
I'm good. I hope you're all well in the chat. I hope you're well, Sean, and you're Jacob and Deji. And Premier League's back next week, mate. The international break has been. Sorry?
Did you play?
Yeah, I played left back. It was a nightmare. I was up against this winger. I come on in the 45th minute, 46th minute. And the guy I was up against was like, I couldn't get near him. He was rapid. One ball over the top. It was like Angie's high line. One ball over the top. And I was basically dire.
What league do you play in, Henry?
The Brentwood League. It's where I live in Essex. It's an Essex league, basically.
Mate, you're around the corner from me, mate. I might have to come and join you.
Come down, mate. Come down.
Deji, don't do that, mate. Henry only gets about 20 minutes a game weekend anyway. If you come along, he'll be the orange peel guy.
You'll be I was the lino and all for 10 minutes. The most corrupt lino you've ever seen in your life.
Good to see you, Henry. Deji, how you doing, my man?
Mate, I don't know about you. Normally, during the international break, I think it's absolutely rubbish and I hate it and I'm bored out of my wits. But this international break, I was loving it and I want more of it because for each day we weren't playing football is another day closer to Van der Ven coming back. So as for me, I'm okay after the kind of debacle we had in the last two Premier League games. So I'm all right. There's nothing to really moan about. Looking forward to the football this weekend, albeit though it is Aston Villa.
We're going to talk about that, mate. Deji, good to see you. Jacob, welcome to, this is your debut on Tottenham Takes, Sunday night action? I think it might be.
I believe so. Yeah. I believe it is.
Welcome, buddy. How's things?
Well, firstly, too blessed to be stressed. Secondly, I'm glad that I get to talk to you three gentlemen very nicely tonight. So I'm assuming it's all going to be just greatness and how we can continue to move forward as a club. And what a beautiful day it is to discuss that with you fine gentlemen. So, hey, thank you for the invite, Sean. Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Love it, mate. Love it. Listen, guys, just quickly in the chat, shout out to all of you degenerate Tottenham content fiends. You can't get enough, even on a Sunday night at 9 o'clock. You want to catch some wild stuff. Hopefully, we're going to be able to entertain you. If you are new around these here parts, then you might not know the rules. If you're not, you should already, that you have to take your shoes off when you come in. And by that, I mean smash the thumb down on the like button. Yeah. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. And you will find Henry's, Deji's, and Jacob's links in the description. And I want you to get over there as well and smash all those likes. I know Jacob's got his show after this, so you're going to get transitioned from Sava. Shout out to Sava from the Football Heritage TV for the raid coming over. Appreciate him. And then welcome here. And then we're all going to send everyone over to Jacob later on for another evening, a late evening show where you're doing Team of the Year so far with some...
Team of the Year with a City and an Arsenal fan. So that should be... I try to bring some balance because, as you know, my bias can come in heavy whenever I'm talking about players. When I look at... there's been disrespect, slanderous material all over the interweb these past week because everyone's bored and they want to do overrated and top Team of the Year. So I just need to, put my word out there that this is the truth. If you want to follow the truth, let that be what it is. But if you don't, then keep listening to, there's some fraudulent people out there saying fraudulent things about Team of the Year. My man Romero's been dragged through the mud because of one, maybe two mistakes that he made in one 90-minute setting. We moved.
Yeah, he's been dropped. He's been dropped for Conor Gallagher or some nonsense. I've seen it knocking around.
But I was just going to say, I was on Never a Foul earlier, and I did manage to squeeze in 2 Spurs players. Nice. But literally in every position, if it wasn't a Spurs player, then it was a Spurs player next. And that's pretty impressive stuff. And this is coming from rival fans as well. So the fact is, in the top 11 of the players so far, you could easily have six Spurs players in it, which I think
we're on the bench. If we're not in the 11, we're on the bench. Is that what you're saying, Deji? Yeah.
Well, it's basically, if not that person for whatever reason, yeah, okay, bench. But really and truly, it's a toss between those two players, and I'm really, really proud of our club, because from every position, from top to bottom, you're literally naming someone from another team and a Spurs player, which is impressive.
You know what's also impressive is the amount of hypocrisy. Listen, I know it's a calm, cool Sunday evening, middle of an international break, but I feel like I'm going to come out firing tonight. There's a hell of a lot of people that I know I've battled with over the last 2 years of my time in content creation. 18 months, whatever it's 21 months in content. The Levy out crew, the people that are out to get they want a change of ownership. Full respect to the opinion. However, some, not all, but some have been taking advantage of the situation that teams like Everton find themselves in, and that teams like Manchester City and Chelsea may find themselves in, and have been going hard at those fan bases, saying, you reap what you sow. Time for the Pied Piper to come calling. You're going to get, what's coming to you. And listen, I'm on board with you deserve, Everton deserve the 10 points. I'd even make a strong argument for the 10 points isn't enough. We're going to talk about the FFP. However, I'm probably someone that has spent most of the last 18 months being thought of as someone who's a Levy sympathizer. And I do want to have this conversation tonight. We're going to talk as a Tottenham group briefly about Everton, whether it's fair, whether it's realistic, whether it's on point, what should happen, could happen to Chelsea and Man City. But also I do want to take it back to Tottenham and say, is this one of those moments where Tottenham fans should be grateful to have an owner that hasn't exposed their football club to the same sort of shenanigans, the same sort of potential banana skins that not just Chelsea and not just Manchester City face? But for me, in a world where Chelsea and Man City do get the book thrown at them in relative equity to face what they're facing versus what Everton got for what they were accused of, I think there might be an outcome where there's an audit that goes through most of football clubs. I think that you'll be not just Manchester City and Chelsea that are found wanting on some of the breaches of rules, but I'm pretty confident that Tottenham won't be in breach of anything. And I just wonder whether or not Daniel Levy needs a little bit of a respite from the antagonism that gets thrown his way. We're going to talk about that, and it might be a little bit bullshit. Henry, I'm going to start with you, mate. Everton, 10-point deduction. First and foremost, is it fair? Is it reasonable? Is it right?
You broke the rules. It's as simple as that. Like, you didn't stick to the financial fair play rules, and you have to pay the consequence. 10 points. At first I thought it was a little harsh. Because I can't remember the last time we saw a point deduction in the Premier League. I think it was 99, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time, yeah.
But at the end of the day,
yeah, there hasn't been a Premier League points deduction, I don't think.
I think it was 99 was the last one.
That was before the. Oh yeah, sorry, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, you broke the rules. Simple as that. The one thing I would say in Everton's favour is you'd still fancy them to stay up. They're better than Luton. They're better than Burnley. They're better than Sheffield United. I think Everton have been on a bit of a good run recently. I think they've won, 4 of their last 8 games in all comps, including beating Villa. They'll stay up. Look, but at the end of the day, you have broken the rules, whether you like it or not. On the Daniel Levy side of things, just quickly.
Before you get to Daniel Levy, just quickly, if Everton end up staying up anyway, is 10 points enough to satiate the fans of the teams that got relegated? The financial impact for the teams that got relegated is not just losing out on the TV money. There will be sponsorships that they lost.
Yeah, it's fine margins, isn't
fans it? That move on to other. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say it's fine margins. But do you remember when 2 years ago, Sheffield United were in the Premier League, and that goal against Villa that was actually a goal wasn't given would have kept Sheffield United up. You know, there's things always happening in football which should have been a foul or should have been a free kick or should have been a penalty. Like, I don't want to talk about that game in the Champions League final against Liverpool, but that is never in a million years a penalty hitting someone's armpit. If that wasn't a penalty, could we have gone and won the Champions League? Who knows? With Everton, you broke the rules. It's in black and white. You have breached rules of the Premier League. There will be a punishment. 10 points. Some people say 30 points. 30 points would have been like, okay, you've messed up. Do not do that again. 10 points. I mean, it's not the worst punishment. I can think of a lot worse. I remember when Chelsea broke financial
fair play. For one charge,
rules.
right? It was just for
Just
one
for
charge.
one charge. But you see
10
all these
points is a substantial amount.
You see all these ex-footballers coming out playing. It's the I was trying to like on my walk today. I was trying to think of an analogy or trying to think of what it represents. But it's the opposite, the entire opposite of victim shaming. It's like sympathizing with the enemy, sympathizing with the culprits. People say, "Oh, you know, poor Everton fans." I'll say this right now. Right, there are I feel sorry for the fans within Everton who didn't demand that their club spend money. They didn't demand the rare fan that would sit there and say, "Not sure this is good. What we're doing here, we're spending wildly above our pay grade." But there's always an element of fans that will sit there and say, and I guarantee you it exists in the Everton fan base right now, that 3 years ago were demanding that the Everton ownership were spending 60 million on this player, 50 million on that player, demanding more. That player didn't work. Don't care. Spend more. Don't care. That one failed. Don't matter. Spend more. And then now they face the consequences of it. And those same people will be saying, you've got us 10 points deducted, ownership out. And I feel like that, like when the people say the fans are victims here, some of them are complicit in the process because they are leaning into the ever increasing demands on the ownership to try to compete with the teams at the top end of the table. And it's turning out and it's transpiring that the most successful clubs over the last 15 years, 2 of them probably have been cheating at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, look, every fan is allowed to kind of wish the best for their club. I mean, we've been in a similar predicament where we've been calling out. I mean, I've been, there's receipts for me saying, look, I would love Saudi backers to come and take over Spurs, or Chinese backers or American backers, so that we could get the money in, so that we could spend, so that we could start to compete. And the thing is, where I think it's really unfortunate for Everton is that they've been slapped first. Really and truly, Man City should have been slapped. 10 points times 115 counts. Chelsea should have been slapped. And then Everton then gets their own slapping. I agree with Henry. The rules are the rules. And I've been arguing this for years, that Tottenham has been working within the system, like it or lump it. People are having a go at Levy. But when you look at what he's done, he has done it the right way. He's trying to create a business model that is self-sustainable. You've got no deep pockets here. We're going to create something. We're going to create a bloody skywalk. We're going to create a stadium tour. We're going to bloody create NFL and then get them down into our stadium. Business to generate more income the right way. These guys have swanned in with their deep pockets, spent, and they deserve to be sanctioned for that. You know,
you can, but at the same time, Deji, you can spend and not break any rules. You just have to do it smartly. Because Real Madrid, they don't break any rules.
Well,
I don't know, mate. I think they're one that's.
Aren't they also owned by the government?
Yeah, they're owned by the government.
They were owned by the government. They're not anymore. The thing about Real Madrid is, you actually look into it. I think Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man City in the last decade have spent more than Real Madrid. But
that's because what Madrid does is they get them at 15, 16 years old when you got that young cat from Turkey. I don't know where he came from.
Endrick, just bought at 17
Endrick
years
as well.
age.
Same thing. They're buying that young talent up. And then that in the future, I mean, look at Vinicius Jr., how long they had him before he really started to become what he is now, which is the best left wing in the world. And I think that is an attribute to a long-term plan that they've had. So I agree with Deji in the sense that we've done things in a way that doesn't leave us open and vulnerable to these kinds of attacks. But when we look at the charges as far as why Everton was charged before Man City, for me, it's plain and simple and clear. Man City have, I'm sure, a building full of lawyers working on every single case. And when you have that, and the financial backing, you can push that case months, and it turns into years and years and years. Whereas Everton have one charge, they likely don't have the kind of infrastructure like a Chelsea, like a Man City legally with a legal team that goes in and can fight every single charge.
Well, I think just quickly on that one, I think that the major difference is that Everton, their issues were on the accounts, so they didn't try and hide or circumvent or whatever. They handed over their accounts for the 3 years and the discrepancies were on it. Chelsea had these new owners have come in and said, hey, look, we found discrepancies within the previous accounts, so we're going to come forward and show the light that the FFP or the people charged with auditing those things hadn't found. And Manchester City didn't expose themselves, but that's a 5 year. It took them 5 years. They started that investigation 5 years ago, but the complexity of the accounting practices, to your point, Jacob, has just taken the relevant authorities 5 years to get through the 90% of the meat of it. So the difference is the reason why Everton's like exposure of the issue and then their guilt or whatever was because it was just it was in black and white on the accounts that they had put forward.
It's black and white, but also Everton have been gracious enough to bloody admit it. Do you know what I mean? Man City are still bloody defending themselves like warriors. And so because they're not admitting liability, it's taking even a bit more time. But also, look, let's just be real. Football is about money. People talk about trophies. I've been talking about the fact that it's run by money for years. And you remember the kind of corruption with the FIFA going on. Let's just be real. Look, Man City should not be where they are today if not for some bloody deep pockets. Man City has never been a big six, top six side. They've bought their way to success. They bought their way to the table. And the fact that they haven't been sanctioned is disgusting. I will also say this. 10 points is still 10 points. If Spurs was to lose 10 points right now, that would hurt me deeply. Right now, Everton, I had Everton to go down before the season started. And with the 10-point deduction, I think it's pretty much nailed on that Everton will be one of the three going down. And for me, that's it. That's a disaster for them. That is it. Because they go down, there's no guarantees they're coming straight back.
No, Hollywood's written this story. I see how it goes. It's going down to decision day, the final match day. Dele Alli's resurgence. He hits the game-winning goal. Everyone's like, Dele Alli, ah. And then I want to say right now why I feel like Everton, first of all, it's a middle finger when I see you in the courtroom if I'm Daniel Levy in Tottenham, because first of all, I think it was 3-4 weeks ago, they were saying, maybe we can work something out with Tottenham. We're optimistic that we can work something out with Tottenham Hotspur in regards to Dele Alli and his appearances. And then as soon as they get in the mud, they're like, well, Spurs should have paid us more for Richarlison. It's like, what the hell was that? You were just asking for a favor. And now you throwing me in the mud. They sound like some snitches to me.
Jacob, let me ask you about that, right? So I read that same article. Bring this back to Daniel Levy, just as it's a Tottenham show. I do want to get on to like whether or not Tottenham, whether people that hate Daniel Levy should use these sort of scenarios and think actually it could be worse, could be a lot worse. But on the specifics of the Richarlison deal, if Everton had actually penned into their accounts that Richarlison was worth 80 million, and Tottenham ended up paying 50 plus 10. And Everton described that as Daniel Levy taking advantage of the situation.
The information that he was privy to. Some information he was apparently privy to. Which I find very interesting.
Watch football, sit there and go, it wasn't worth 50 or 60. It wasn't worth 30. So is Daniel Levy guilty? In the one hand, I want to compliment him for being like a somewhat sensible owner that hasn't put us into the quagmire, because the rules get tighter, by the way, on FFP. Over the next 2 years, they get a lot tighter. But is Daniel Levy guilty of missing the wood for the trees if he's genuinely gone and bought Richarlison because he sat there and thought there's an £80 million player there, according to Everton. And I reckon I can, turn the screw here and get him for about 50 plus 10.
I don't even think it was that.
What's Richarlison actually worth? If we're going January 2024 window, I reckon
35
you would
maybe?
bite your hand off or do some disgusting things for 30 mil. And I'm talking about I would bite your hand off.
Is that the dirty thing, or is there other things to come?
That's probably not the only dirty thing you would do for 30 mil.
Like, I'm talking. Let's be real. Let's be real. Looking at some of the signings Everton have made the last decade, they have wasted a lot of money. Didn't they get James Rodriguez on a stupid?
Apparently, that was a free though. I brought that up. Someone said it was a free that they got him. They just paid him stupid wages.
Yeah, but they gave him a €15 million signing on fee.
Oh, that's nice. I want one of them.
Then they signed Allen from Napoli. They also signed Richarlison. I mean, Everton were dumb enough to pay 50 million quid for him from Watford. And we went, do you know what? Hold my beer. We're going to pay 50 plus 10.
Well, I've always known why we signed Richarlison. It was the summer before the World Cup started. Brazil's were #1 favorites to win the thing. And so why not cash in on Brazil's #9 if they're going to go on to win the thing? It was a prediction signing. I've always maintained that. Some people said, Jacob, take off your tinfoil hat. I said, hey, look at the fact, look beyond.
Even
you know what I'm saying? Shout out Mia. Read between the lines.
Jacob, even if Richarlison scored, got the golden boot in that tournament, was he ever going to really double in value? Was he ever going to really get to 80-90 million pounds? Even if
the idea isn't to double his value in the market of football. The idea was to develop his market for Brazil fans, to do what Sonny's done for Korea. This is my theory. Okay, so you can throw it out for what my theory is. If Richarlison went on one golden boot and they won the whole damn thing, and Richarlison's doing the pigeon dance, he had Ronaldo doing the pigeon dance. He was because of that goal that he had. He was starting that, and it was looking like this is the best investment we've ever made. That's my theory, because think about it, if all of Brazil says, oh my God, look at our new #9, he's actually that guy, that's how many, at least 2 mil minimum coming over to Spurs.
You see him control a football, and it's like he's got a pair of Timberland boots on. It's absolutely horrendous.
I mean, Sean knows every time I hear about Richarlison, I take issue. And Henry, I'm not going to sit here and let you bash. I tell you the reason why we got Richarlison. Richarlison was decent at Watford, and he was actually quite decent at Everton. And for me, if he just replicated the sort of form that he had at Watford and Everton, he's no Harry Kane, but I would have taken it on the chin. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, he just
even for 50-60 million quid.
I don't think he's ever going to replicate. When you put the Tottenham shirt on, compared to Everton or Watford, it has extra weight. Big six clubs, it has extra weight. Look at Mason Mount at Man United. Look at Kai Havertz at Arsenal. Some players adapt to it, like Declan Rice has. They take to it like a duck to water. Look at Anthony at United. Some other players, when you're the main man in Everton side, and your job is to score goals to keep them up, right? You know you're going to get 8 to 12 a season with the odd couple of penalties. When you step in a Tottenham shirt and you've got all disrespect, all due respect to Everton.
All disrespect or all due respect?
Yeah, all due respect. bigger audience.
Yeah, all disrespect.
Playing in Europe. Everton haven't been in Europe for God knows how long. We're going for a Champions League position. You have got to deliver. You either adapt or you perish. And if you don't adapt, you're in deep water quickly. And we are notoriously, in the last 12 years, bad at signing #9s. We've had Llorente, Janssen, Vinicius, Richarlison. We don't sign. So when we go and spend 60 million,
Vinicius was a loan. We don't have to use that as an example.
Sorry,
Vinicius was a loan though, and we didn't even pay all his wages.
My point still stands that, since Harry Kane's broke into that team, we haven't signed a good #9. We haven't.
Fair. No, that's fair. I agree.
And now if Harry Kane's gone, you've got big. I'm not saying he's going to score the same I got as Harry Kane because I'd be deluded, but the amount of chances this guy's had. Like any serious football club, City, Liverpool, maybe not Arsenal because they're a PR machine, but City, Liverpool, if he's not on 12-15 by the end of the year, he's gone. City did it with Ferran Torres. They bought a big Spanish wide player who could do the business. Leroy Sané under Pep weren't doing it. They got rid of him.
Now they want him
I'm not
back.
saying us as us four, but a lot of the fan base.
Ferran Torres is
overly attached
doing
to
it for
players.
Barcelona now, isn't he? He's back in vogue in Barcelona.
Who, Torres?
Ferran Torres, yeah.
I don't know where he is, mate. But like at the end of the day, you've got to, if you don't perform,
we're linked with Rafinha.
Like he's stat padding against Peru, or
that is. But also, I hear you, Henry. But also, that's the kind of dangers of football in a way. I was having a conversation earlier, and we were talking about Ivan Toney, and is Spurs going to be putting in a bid for him? And I said, well, there's no guarantee Ivan Toney's going to make the step up. I understand he's been the second best striker in England, blah, blah, blah. But really, until they step into those shoes, you're not sure. You're just going on what their performance is at their clubs. You hope that they can make the step. And for whatever reason, it just hasn't clicked for Richarlison. But I am hopeful that after this surgery, that he can kick on. Mate, if Richarlison hits 10 goals, I'll be happy.
Mate,
so would I.
Sorry, this is never going to happen. The guy is like one of these poor me, another. But before he got his surgery, he said, I've been giving too much to this football club. I need to focus on me. But cut what?
Given too much. You've scored 4 goals in 18 months.
Yeah, what are you talking about, bro? Like, honestly, like, it's just cut him out. Listen, before I do want to focus on Tottenham, but I just want to round off this FFP conversation because I do what we spoke about Everton. I feel like you're all saying the same thing as me, that the 10 points is fine. It sets a precedent. I personally am not even sure if it's enough because I do think that Everton will get away. Like they're playing well enough to get out of trouble this year. And so it's just basically, water under the bridge for them after a season. And it might be the same for Manchester City and Chelsea whenever those things culminate. But I saw this tweet earlier that showed if you took Manchester City and Chelsea out of the Premier League for the years that are being analysed from 2012, 2011, 2012 up 16, until now, 17. These would be the winners of the Premier League, right?
So we got
relegate them all.
So we got one.
But I'm asking the question. So Tottenham would, if Chelsea were punished, because 2016-17 season is one of the years that they are alleged to have been involved in this. So if they were to be stripped of their titles as part of the punishment, then Tottenham would technically be handed if they were to go through the process of going to the team who comes second. Now, I want to ask you guys whether or not stripping the titles, I think, is fine, right? I absolutely agree. But giving the title to the team that comes second, giving the title to the team that came runner-up in the cups that they won, I'm not sure. In fact, I'm pretty sure how I feel about this. Even though it would hurt Tottenham, I don't think that you should give the title to the person who came second.
Why?
And then, in the annals of history, you zoom forward 40 years, a generation later, people that are looking back through history, they don't see Manchester City's name on the title or Chelsea's, but they see Tottenham's or Arsenal's or United's or Liverpool's or whatever else. I don't think that you should for 2 reasons. One is people won't know the story. People will forget the history. And I think if you've cheated, there should be an indelible mark against the name. There should be no name on that title. These years, there was no winner. My grandkids or your grandkids will ask why. Because
hell no. Right? Hell no, Sean.
Hang on, let me finish the point.
Hell no.
The second
no winners?
The second reason why.
What are we doing?
Is because this idea that if you take away the team that cheated, the second best runner would have won. The second base team would have won anyway. It's not the same as like disqualifying a gold medal runner in the Olympics in the 100-meter sprint and saying, well, you take out the cheater, the guy who finished second was the fastest who didn't cheat. It's not the same because you don't have. There's a butterfly effect. Case in point with Willian. Willian went to Chelsea on the transfer window. He was going to come to Tottenham. He goes to Chelsea. Abramovich, apparently under all these exposures, was the guy who made sure that transfer happened. He goes on and becomes Chelsea's player of the year that year. They go on and win the league. To say that you should strip Chelsea and give it to the team below them that wasn't Tottenham in that season, it was someone else. is crazy because if Willian comes to Tottenham, does Willian become the player of the year at Tottenham? Not necessarily. New formation, new manager, new tactics. But then Tottenham signed somebody else that if we had signed Willian, that player that we did sign wouldn't have signed for us. He'd have gone somewhere else. And you get this snowball effect.
This ain't no Ashton Kutcher movie, Sean. This ain't no butterfly effect. All right, we came in second to some cheaters. That's the bottom line I see. If they strip them of their title and they award it to second place, that ain't the only thing gonna be stripping, Sean. I'm gonna be in the UK butt ass naked during the parade. Get the band back together. Let's get the vibes immaculate. I don't know why you're trying to put this bottle cap.
Only the league title, by the way. It'd be the League Cup that we lost to Chelsea in 2014-15 under Poch's first year.
I don't want these trophies that way, bro.
It'd be the City League Cup we lost a couple of years ago. And by the way, I think neither Chelsea or City, by the way, will get a point. I don't think either of them will get a point deduction. I'm just putting that out there right now.
I just want to put it out that I will take it because first of all, it squashes this idea that Spurs haven't won a trophy, blah blah blah. But equally, what we're saying is, if you've got money, what you're saying, Sean, there is money talks. Because that means, in theory, Tottenham could get a Saudi billionaire tomorrow who completely breaks FFP or whatever it is. We bloody win 5 seasons on the trot. Then they go and check our books and go, oh, Tottenham overspent. Tottenham.
No one would care.
Wait, I'm not saying you let Manchester City keep the trophy.
But you get points deductions. I don't give a damn. I'll keep the trophy.
No, I'm saying strip them of the trophies. But it's
got to go somewhere. It needs a home. You're gonna make
remember that those teams. Why? I want my grandkids to go. Why wasn't there a winner of the Premier League in 2017-18?
Let me ask you something, Sean. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Hypothetical scenario. Tomorrow, Tottenham get bought out by a Qatari billionaire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The next 10 years, Tottenham win 4 Premier League titles, 2 Champions Leagues, and an FA Cup. On the 11th year, we get a 30-point deduction and risk getting relegated.
I don't give a shit.
I would not. Honestly, the Champions League parade, mate, I mean, I can't say what I want to say for certain reasons because there might be people on here that... But that night out, if Tottenham won the Champions League, I don't care if we get relegated. 2 Champions Leagues.
You still had the night out.
Titles.
That's tomorrow, Jacob's problem, not tonight.
Precisely. So they don't care now if they get a 30-point deduction because they've won a treble.
No, but if all those things get stripped, you're missing my point. I'm not saying let it be. I'm saying
strip the memories.
Relegate them. I'm saying relegate them, take away their titles. I'm saying find them. I'm saying kick them to
not gonna happen.
Kick them to the Conference League. But what you don't do is hand the titles to the team that came second because you don't know what would have happened had they not cheated. It's not. It's a whole new timeline. Back to the Future. Marty McFly. It's a whole new thing.
No, it's not. Let me tell you why.
Say no Ashton Kutcher movie.
The reality is, it's all etched in our memory. The last-minute goal by Aguero. This Man City winning the league.
That's the greatest moment in Premier League history.
All of these moments are etched in our mind. So even if you take it away from them and you say, you know what, you never really won that season. Deep down, you're like,
yeah, you're stripped.
Deep down, they were the best team that season.
So you got your title.
Imagine 8-year-olds that have turned up to the Etihad. You're 2-1 down to QPR, and then Aguero pulls something out of his butthole and goes and wins you the league.
Hang on a second. The Canadian in the you guys might. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember this. I think it was a 1986 Olympic final. Oh, sorry, 1988 Olympic final. Is it Ben Johnson, a Canadian guy? He almost sets a world record, right? He gets the gold medal. He gets to celebrate. Canada celebrates. 12 hours later, turns out he's juiced up to his eyeballs on all sorts of steroids. Thing gets stripped. In that the moment was all his.
Technicality.
He's taken away. No one remembers him now because he was stripped. What about Lance Armstrong? Lance Armstrong won all those titles. Do people think of Lance Armstrong as a champion, or do they think of him as a cheat?
Hey, live strong, baby.
Mate, I just
national hero.
I just think it's etched in people's mind, but I will take the extra 2 trophies that we would have won in that period of time.
100%.
I take the 2 shamelessly.
We want just to have a league
That's what I'm
title.
saying. So, okay, so you'd rather have it, even though you never know whether you would have won the trophies anyway.
Take it.
It's slimy. It's
not
no,
a
no
league
one
title,
will
mate.
respect. No one will ever respect Tottenham.
We don't need
No one will
respect.
ever respect us anyway.
They'll always find a reason why we shouldn't have this or couldn't have done that. There's always an excuse waiting from all the rivals. So I don't care about that. I'm showing up to the parade. Bring the gang
You
back.
can't see what the
Let's
league,
have a good
the
time.
league title's doing, mate. You can F off down the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Listen, let me know in the comment section that we got Robin Owen here saying, yeah, very embarrassing about that. Exactly. See, he remembers the bad, not the good. Shout out to Robin. Listen, I want to know in the comment section whether or not Tottenham.
But it
and
wasn't
others,
bad
by
on
the
our
way,
end. It was bad on their end. We were victims. You're looking at this all wrong, Sean. We were the victims in this case. They cheated us of our title. That's how it needs to be spread.
Who
Not,
was your
oh,
title?
thank you for giving me second, sir. No. They took
Why
what
did
was
you do
ours.
that?
We are
English
victims of theft. All right?
What
That's
was that accent, by the way?
Jacob, that is absolutely brilliant, I have to say. Can you do it again?
Let's just I saw Oliver Twist one time and
Yeah.
you know, thought I was from the UK. So, but in all seriousness, like I just think that that's ours. It should have been ours if they hadn't cheated. Yes, you could go down these alternate timelines.
You don't know that. It's not the same as a one-off.
What I do know is we came in second to some cheaters. Therefore, we were the first place losers. Therefore, if you take away what was theirs, you would give to the next person. It's a hand-me-down. And it's okay. Hand-me-downs work just fine. Clothes aren't bad after 5 years just because your big brother wore them. No, just give them a good old wash. Hang them out to dry a few times. Maybe do an extra tumble cycle. I don't know. I don't do that much laundry personally. But there's a way you can make it. And look, the clothes will fit just fine. They'll work just fine.
Yeah, you get a second-hand car, right? You polish it, you clean it, it looks brand new.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think
The odometer.
You guys are happy to get these. You happy to get second-hand trophies that have got the stink of Chelsea.
Sean, it's a Premier League.
A Premier League trophy.
But it would never be respected.
When they
It's all
do
about-
those, when they
that's
do
fine,
those
okay,
little
okay,
graphs
okay,
and
let me
they line up all the shinies, that is more shinies for us, and I'm all about that.
I was saying, would you ever get with a girl or a guy if they've been in a relationship before?
Depends who with.
Yeah, depends who with, to be fair.
Depends who with. Right? Look at that girl. Who was that
Depends who
model?
with.
Kate,
Okay,
Kate
so
Moss.
if it was-
Kate Moss, right? Kate Moss is the Premier League trophy. When she went out with
Why
that
Kate
druggie,
Moss?
Kate Moss, when she went out with that druggie, who was part of it, who was a musician, lead singer, a musician. After she went out with him, I forget the guy, but I was like, don't like her
what about
anymore.
Rihanna?
And I thought that's
Who got
getting
beat up
handed
by
down
Chris
that
Brown?
Premier League trophy. It's the same. It's like Kate Moss after the drugs.
Mate, Sean, Rihanna.
It's still
okay.
beyond what you got right now, so I don't care. I don't care. Bless
Not
me
only that,
nicely.
like, you flipping Rihanna had a tear out of Chris Brown. You're still taking Rihanna.
It's not Rihanna's fault neither.
Precisely.
But Rihanna wasn't like that. Was violate. That's a whole different thing. We got to be careful what we're saying here because I'm going to get demonetized. Let's move on. So what you all three of you are saying? Give me
So
the
you,
dirty
deep
trophy.
down, so
I'll
you
take
take
the
the
asterisk. I'll take the asterisk. I don't care. We're gonna have some fake ceremony.
Sean, are you not going to pull up to the
parade?
parade? Are you not going? If it happens, are you going to say,
see what it'll be
on
done
my
during the
morals,
NFL."
I will not attend this parade because we are not deserving of such because of Ashton Kutcher movie Butterfly Effect? Is that what you're telling me right now,
Of course,
Sean?
I'll be at the parade.
Exactly.
That's the like button. Fan cams. Fan cams at the parade.
What do you think? What do you think of us winning the league title, mate? Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I just think it's a dirty way to win. What I would rather see is Manchester City and Chelsea punished to the full extent of whatever law we're working with here and send them back to the Stone Ages, and then let's see what we can do. And I'd like to see every club audited. I'd love to see every club audited because I reckon there'll be a couple of other clubs up there that would have done misdemeanors on some level, and I think Tottenham won't be one of them because of our brilliant owner, Daniel Levy. Shout out to Daniel Levy.
Yeah, I think, Daniel Levy is someone that, we do rub him through the mud, and usually deservedly so. But in this regard, you just got to give him some respect. He's built us up. He made the right decision with Poch. Maybe some will say he was probably lucky with Poch. I think he's also lucky with Postecoglou, but who cares? Sometimes you just got to keep going and going and going until you get it right. He has spent. People who keep saying he's not spending, look at the players that have come in, the Bentacors, the Kulusevskis, the Udogis, the Vicario, so Madders, even the ones that haven't worked, Ndombele, Richarlison. So he is trying, and we are trying to spend within our means. So we got to give him credit. However, if we are truly a big six team, then what we have been spending, as opposed to, the big guns of the league, is absolute peanuts. But then if it transpires they've been able to spend that level of money because they've been bloody cheating, then he's great, and we take the trophies that come with it. That's how I see it. But, for me, rightly or wrongly, I do want to see Tottenham spending a bit more money in the transfer window, doing clever business, and bringing in more top players. I think.
Let me ask you something, guys. Right? Under Daniel Levy's reign, how many world-class players have we signed? And I don't mean players that have become world-class, like you could argue Son or Modric. I mean, come in and been world-class.
Yeah, well, not many, none, in fact. But
the
answer
I think is zero.
Yeah, the answer is zero, but I think the answer is zero for Arsenal. The answer is zero.
No, it's not.
Name me one that
was one of the best DMs in the world.
Who?
Thomas Partey at the time was
He was
one of
not
the best
world class. He was absolutely not world class. Top three.
He won a league title with Atletico Madrid the year before, and won
world
player
class.
of the year.
Top three DMs in the world. That's what we generally.
At the time, he was unbelievable.
Another one. Name
Thierry Henry.
He wasn't world class when he came as a winger. When he came to Arsenal, what are you talking about? You're nonsense.
Van der Vaart was world class.
That hot chip's gone to your brain, Henry. What are you doing here?
Manchester City are cheats.
No, alleged. I can't even speak. They're not cheats yet.
Listen, from now on, if you're going to use any of these analogies, you can't use Man City.
What about Man United? How many world-class players have Man United signed?
Yeah, probably too many because they've failed with every single one of them in recent times.
Liverpool, Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah have come in.
Van Dijk wasn't world class. He played for Southampton.
Celtic, even.
Right?
Wasn't he at Celtic?
So did.
Yeah.
He come in and was absolutely outrageous.
There's not many teams that are not at the very top of the pyramid in any league buys world class players.
Henry on the hot chip right now.
You need money. The point I'm making is we've spent a lot of money, an awful lot of money, in the last 20 odd years, but we just waste half of it down the drain on absolute toilet. Like £300 million on Sanchez, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Richarlison, and who was the other one? There was another one.
Sanchez, Lo Celso.
Yeah, those two, Ndombele.
There's loads. Brian Hill.
But so much money can you really blame Levy for that? And I'm not someone.
Yeah, you can blame Levy for that because you're the one who's in charge. You're the one who's got.
We called that. We wanted him to spend some money, especially because
it's a double-edged sword, right?
He spent some money, it just didn't work out. So sometimes
I get that.
Yeah,
and there's an element of truth in that, but at the same time, Daniel Levy is responsible for who he puts in that recruitment room and who he puts in. Who he's responsible for. Who does the scouting for the football club? He's responsible for how much money we spend, and we've had some fantastic signings: Eriksen, Son, Alderweireld, Wanyama, Dembele. But if you look at the portion of good signings against bad signings, it's probably 80-20.
Well, couldn't you argue that at this juncture we are trying to correct those wrongs? That's my only my hope is that because Levy's came out and said we got this and this wrong, and now we're seeing Scott Munn, Johan Lange, and then some other dude, and then Gabbanini's now gone. And I'm not going to claim to know what these men in suits and big buildings do, but I mean things are moving.
There's absolutely right, Henry. And if you can't see what Levy's been doing,
you know where to go. You know where to go.
3 months ago, no, hang on. 4 months ago, me and you were sitting on here on your channel saying it's an awful window.
Yeah, but that was before I knew what Levy was up to. And now I do. I'm not effing off anywhere, man.
40 chest
every single Tottenham fan said we needed, and we were crying out for 2 centre-backs.
Yeah.
Right?
He got you two. One just can't play right now.
And we've got that injury. And now we're down to Dyer and bloody Ben Davies against Villa and City.
Yeah, but part of the problem we have, sorry to say, and again, I'm not defending Levy, is, and maybe this is Levy's fault, sometimes you just got to take your L's and cut your losses. He can't shift at least half of the players. Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, sell them for 2 mil, 1 mil, half a mil. I don't give a damn. 10K, just sell them. But he's refusing to sell these guys. And I guess the thing is,
and Deji, mate, that they don't want to go.
They don't want to go, so they're just sitting there and they're just making up numbers. The other thing is, people keep saying Spurs have the money to spend big, but we have a £1 billion stadium that we are having to pay monthly for. We had to take out a big fat dirty loan, and only God knows the amount of money they got to pay monthly for this loan. So if I just imagine that as a business person, he's trying to balance
£2 million a month, by the way. I know. It's £2 million a month.
£2
million a month in interest, yeah.
Okay, so that's we make that in one home.
We make that in one home game through beer that you have to queue up for bloody 4 hours.
What I would like to know is, what does the books say? I'll tell you
what the book says, right? Yeah. The books say this. In fact, let me press pause on that one because I've got to get through a couple of super chats. First and foremost, in a coma, shout out to you. Star-studded lineup and Sean's chair. Morning all. Yeah, the chair is the star of the show. I appreciate everyone's warming to the chair. When I first brought the chair out, listen, mate. You can't see what the chair's doing, mate. You want to F off down IKEA. Right?
I will F off down to IKEA.
You can't see what the chair. Everyone was anti the chair. Now everyone's warming up to the chair, just like Daniel Levy. This is the physical representation of Daniel Levy. Ian JD saying maybe Levy should be given more credit. Shout out to you, Ian. I think he absolutely should, especially from those people who are celebrating Everton and Manchester City and Chelsea's demise, and yet would have had Daniel Levy spend the same sorts of money if they had their way. And then if it all went tits up at Tottenham, would then be saying this is another catalyst for why I was right about Daniel Levy all along. Hypocrisy is rife. Blaine Devlin, shout out to Blaine. Big up, my man. 5 memberships. Shout out. I've seen everyone saying thank you to Blaine. Big up, Blaine. I hope you're okay, my man. Really appreciate you. And he's coming with a super chat as well. Last world-class player we signed was Steed Malbronk. I like Steve.
I remember him. I thought he was a good player.
I thought he was a good player as well.
Yeah, I like
him. You can spend a lot of money and not get done for FFP. Liverpool have done $1 billion in the last 8 years. And they've won everything.
They haven't spent $1 billion.
They have spent $1 billion. Do you want me to show you it? Net. Liverpool have done $1 billion in 8 years. Do you want me to show you it?
Yeah, get it up.
All right.
Pause. I do.
Bearing in mind they did €100 million alone on Darwin Núñez.
They did what?
Bearing in mind just on their transfers recently, they did 100 million of it on Darwin Núñez. We're talking about the last 8 years, they've done $1 billion. But they've done. See, I respect Liverpool a lot. I can't stand their fans, but I respect them as a football club because they do try to do things the right way. Like when they sold Coutinho, they went and bought 2 massive players. When they sold
$1 billion over the last 5 years net spend, right? So that's £200 million a year. Is that what you're saying?
No, 8 years.
Net spend.
8 years.
Oh, over the last 8 years. Well, that's £150 million a year, right? And they've got a very tight wage structure, and their revenue streams are about the same.
And they've still managed to bring in a Premier League trophy, a Champions League.
Tottenham have spent.
This is my point.
Tottenham have spent 750 million as well over since the stadium is built.
And we've won nothing. This is my point. You can spend money, we just don't spend it on the right things.
But do you know what it is? I disagree, Henry. Do you know what it is? Sometimes everything happens in seasons. We needed to build a stadium. You've all been at White Hart Lane. You know it was tight. So what he decided is, hold on. For us to be a big club, for us to compete, we've got to double the capacity. And we know that doubling the capacity takes a hit. Arsenal took a hit. We took a hit. Now that the money's... And then we had COVID. Remember? Right in the midst of it, when we opened up, then we got slapped with COVID for a couple years. Now, legitly, as I'm seeing in the comments, Spurs are starting to make money. Let that money come in, and then now we can now kick on and start to buy the 60, 80, 90 mil players, because that's what it's going to take to get us to the promised land.
Is it, though,
Deji? Coming in.
Is it, Deji? And I'll come to Jacob after this. Does it take 60, 70 million pound players? And by the way, 60, 70 million pound players 5 years ago got you close to world class. 60, 70 million pound players now get you
Richarlison.
Kai Havertz, Mason Mount.
Richarlison.
Well, then we got to be looking at 100 mil players. Then I mean, what I'm saying is we've got to, if we're not prepared to do the big signings, you know, the 120 mil striker. There's not many out there. If we're not prepared to spend 80, 90 mil on a centre back, I know we were very fortunate with Romero, extremely fortunate with Van der Ven, but really that's the next level up. If we're not prepared to do that, that's the whole point of why we've been suffering. At least to my mind, I'm okay with the process, provided we get to the point where we can start to spend. If we don't spend, then all that stuff was just a bloody waste of time. Do you know what I mean? And that we could have done stuff, but they didn't. You know, the government could have spent money. They said there was no money, and then when they wanted to spend, they spent. Then I'd be like, oh, where did you find the money from? So that's all I know. So I'm sitting here hoping that he does the right thing and is able to. He should be spending now. Like, I expect Tottenham to be spending 100 mil plus in Jan, and if he's not spending 100 mil plus in Jan, then maybe, just maybe, what people are saying about Levy is right.
No, well, so I want to bring Jacob in, but I do want to challenge you on that £100 million thing, because I think that in the fan forum they did actually show the amount of money, the net spend they've spent, and then when you figure in the calculations of FFP this year, next year, the 70% rule that's coming in, we're not that far away. Every other big club is pushing up against FFP, and people think that Tottenham are miles away from it. We're really not. We are really not that far away from it. I reckon 75 million is top of the budget, unless you can get creative and bring in loans and all this stuff. But Jacob, do you how do you feel about this, mate? Sorry, I wanted to bring you in.
I think I agree with the notion that we have spent money, but we just haven't spent it smartly. If I go and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to Home Depot to try and repair my house, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm just like, all right, let's buy some wood, let's buy some of this, let's buy some nails, and we're going to need a glue gun, so we got to get glue for that. And at a certain point, the price tag starts going up, and you spend on half things you need, half the things you don't need, and some of the things that you thought you needed turned out to be waste men. So I agree with the notion that we have spent and we haven't spent smartly. But I also agree with Deji in the sense that I have the hope that now we should. I understand we just built a big ass stadium. All right, it's going to take us a minute before we can get the money right. I get that. But if I'm not mistaken, Sean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't we supposed to be at a point where now we're good with the stadium? Like, we're good. And now we can go spend the money. That was my hope, and that was what we were fed when Pochettino was here. Oh, we can't do it. We can't do it because of the stadium. We can't do it. Now it's got to be what is the reason? And then also, where's the rest of that cash injection? I'm no Snoop Dogg when it comes to sniffing out the money. You know what I mean?
But the cash injection's a really good question.
Where's that money?
Yeah, the 50 million quid. Yeah, don't know. Waiting to see that too. In terms of, are we good? I think we're in a good financial situation, but I think Henry alluded to it earlier. We have absolutely zero track record over the last 4 years of actually raising any money apart from Harry Kane.
Can I just add on that very, very quickly, and I'll go back to you. So we've actually spent more than Liverpool since Jurgen Klopp has been there. We've done 111 million euros more than Liverpool. Bearing in mind we're paying a stadium off. We've built a stadium in that time, and one whole year we didn't sign a player. We've done 107 million euros more, but Liverpool have managed to bring in 6 trophies. Because nothing against Levy spending money. It's what we're spending it on. Like, if you go through it, anyone can go on transfer market. Anyone can look at it. Look at some of the players we've signed in the last decade.
Wow. Henry,
that doesn't mean it's not going to change now.
I agree, but you know what it means then? Then I think us Spurs fans, then we need to speak loud enough, because I'm not being funny. When we're linked to these players and we're about to get them through the door, Spurs fans are shaking their bum violently up and down the country, domestically and abroad, for those same players. So maybe we got to take more ownership, and then rather than us reporting back on what we've read, players that we've read Spurs to be linked with, like Rafinha, we should be doing our own bloody homework as well and be pumping it in, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on streams, and say, can you look at these players instead? Because all I see is Spurs fans reading little articles of the Spurs newsroom media and regurgitating it online. And that's not helping us, because that's the scouting job of the scouting system. Those are the players that they've picked out, and then we're just following on and saying they're a great signing, and then cussing them signings when they don't do anything when they get into our club. Let's do our own scouting mission and say, rather than you bring in bloody Richarlison, bring in bloody, I don't know, Rafinha or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've also got to do that, and rather than just going with the wave.
And weren't we also trying to get Rafinha at the time in which we bought Richarlison? Because I remember we were sniffing around Gabby, Jesus, and we were Richarlison and Rafinha. Them 3 Brazilians were out for grabs.
It's exactly the same as when we looked at Coutinho, Dybala, Bruno Fernandes. But instead we brought in Giovanni Lo Celso, who cost us 50 million euros.
Yeah.
That man can't kick a
He's
ball.
one of the worst ever.
And the transfer fee. Like I said, I have nothing against Daniel Levy spending money. But now I hope to see that with Langer, with Scott Munn, there is a plan. Now, if there's a plan, I'm on board. 100% I'm on board. I will stick to trust the progress is what we should be saying. If there's progress, I'm fine with that. None of this trust the
Have you
process,
just made that up?
PR, spin out crap.
I think maybe you should full screen him so he can say it again.
Yeah, I don't know how you full screen.
You want me
But
to do
is
it?
that, yeah. Say your little phrase again.
Oh, hang on.
No, not
sorry.
me. I didn't say it.
What have I got to say?
Where have you said trust the progress, right?
Yeah, we should be saying trust the progress. If they've brought in a director of football, right, Scott Munn, and a new chief head scout, and all these people that are on board for the same goal, which is to win major honours, then we've got to trust the progress, not the process. This BS, PR, spin out crap that lot down the road will do. And yes, at times you've got to be critical, because everyone deserves to be criticised when it's due. But don't, as soon as we start losing games, bring out the Levy out drum when we've got more injuries than a flipping.
Oh, it's coming. No, sorry.
I don't agree with that. And I've been very, very critical against the ownership. But as soon as we lose 1 or 2 games, you can't be sitting there with your bongo drum screaming Levy out. That's not how it works.
People are, though. And they are the same people that if they demanded Daniel Levy, not all of them, some of them are very reasonable, but some of them, the same people who would demand that Daniel Levy puts his hand in his pocket and they don't understand FFP. I don't think many people understand FFP. I don't fully understand it, and I come from a sort of background within it, try my best with it. But I feel like people just go, just spend money. Everyone else can do it. Why can't we? But the people that are doing it, the people that have done it more than anybody else, are the people that either got much more revenue than Tottenham, like Manchester United, or teams that are currently on the pipe for 115 charges.
FSG aren't wealthier than Daniel Levy.
But they haven't spent more money than Daniel Levy.
But that's my point. But what are they doing with their money? What are they doing? They're bringing in Salah. They're bringing in Mane. They're bringing in Firmino. They're bringing in Van Dijk. Fabinho. We're bringing in.
We just got Madison. We just got Madison. We just got Van de Ven. I'm trying to look at right now. Last year we got Basuma. We've gotten some really Destiny Udogie. We also signed him last year. These are signings that I'm comfortable with. Yes, I feel the pain of yesteryear, but I can't cry about the milk that was spilt 2 years ago, 3 years ago, year and a half ago. I understand the milk ain't been cleaned up. Giovanni Lo Celso's still here. It needs to be cleaned up ASAP. It's starting to mold and smell stinky. And
mold.
My wife's like,
starting to cheese that milk.
My wife's asking what's that stain on the carpet. But look. I'm telling you.
What you do in your own time, that's up to you, Jacob, right?
Look, if you don't trust the process, or excuse me, the progress. If you don't trust, sorry, that's the PR fluff coming out there. If you don't trust the progress, Henry, you know you can do.
F off down the alphabet.
You know
I'm
you
going
can
to
go.
get that trending. I'm going to get trust the progress trending.
Trust the progress. I like it because there has been some substantial progress and a lot of the facets for Tottenham that I've wanted to see. The academy, I've wanted to see ethos and a philosophy that trickles down from the top, and it is beginning. It is starting to happen. And so when we come into this situation, say in 5 years, where Madison is out, or say we have a Madison-like type of crucial player on our 11, and he goes down, well, there's a kid who's been playing it for 5 years in the system. He knows exactly what to do. We don't need to, scratch on the bench to see what we could find, because we got it. We got it right there in the academy, and that's something that I've been wanting to see, and we're starting to move in that direction. So I like to see some of the signs of life we're showing.
100% agree with you. Deji, I know you got to go, mate. So here's your link. Tell everyone where you can find people, where people can find you. Guys, get over and smash this link, and doesn't take you away from the stream, but takes you to Deji's channel.
Yeah,
Deji, I want to ask you one last question before you do go. What is your priority in the January transfer window?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Sean. And please, everyone, make sure you smash a like on this show every Sunday. We're here debating all things Spurs. For me, the priority in the January transfer window is simple. We need another centre back. We need cover for Maddison. People thought I was crazy when I said the type of cover I was thinking of is someone like a Griezmann. He doesn't start for Spurs, but I think he would be a perfect backup. People said, how can he be a backup to Maddison? But hey, that's another debate. And we actually need a striker, someone who's half decent. And when I mean half decent, I'm talking about an Ollie Watkins. He's never, someone who's just going to get you 12, 13, 14 goals. I'll be happy with that. That if Tottenham can do that, we are good. And then I think it's game on.
And Douglas Luiz, bring in Douglas Luiz as well.
Yeah. Well, Douglas
Too slow.
He's doing bits.
I'll make turn it.
Yeah. So that's my thing. Those three players in those three positions, and I think it's game on.
Deji, absolute star, mate. Thank you for coming on. You got to go, mate. Deji Spurs is where people can find you, correct?
Yeah. Deji Spurs, Instagram, and on YouTube. Thanks very much.
Love you, mate.
Up,
See you next week.
Thank you.
Cheers, Deji. Take care, buddy. Guys, I want to listen. I know that Henry's got a love and a hard-on for
Here we go.
Aston Villa.
I knew that's where we're going.
No, we're not going there. We're not going there.
Oh.
I just wanted to just say that.
When you mentioned Henry's love, I figured that's the direction.
I had no intention of going anywhere near Aston Villa, but I just felt like I wanted to say Henry loves Aston Villa. I'm trying to put it into the zeitgeist so that people in the community generally can accuse Henry of being an Aston Villa fan.
You can accuse me of what you want. I mean, if you can't see what Unai Emery's doing, you can F off down to Birmingham City, mate. Just quickly, just on the Villa game, right? I see an Arsenal fan on Twitter saying Unai Emery and Postecoglou are both not. What was it? It was a battle of the. It was a battle of the terrible managers or something like that. And I was like, hang on, right? Arteta's won an FA Cup and a dinner plate, aka a charity shield, in his entire career as a manager. Unai Emery's got 4 European trophies and possibly.
Yeah, but hang about, mate. This is why we're espousing not giving the title to the teams that come second, because Arteta might pick up something along the way in that scenario. But
that's never going to happen. Chelsea will get the best lawyer, Boris Johnson's lawyer, on the case, who's got more holes.
Bojo. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that geezer. I mean, I'm not.
How did he come into it?
His lawyer, Boris Johnson's lawyer, right, is the guy that Man City have got sorting out their FFP stuff. 400 grand a week. Yeah, 400 grand a week. He's on the same amount as Kevin De Bruyne, this lawyer.
How does Boris Johnson have 400 grand a week to spend on lawyer fees?
That shows you paying for tax money, mate. Me, you, and everyone in this chat are probably paying for it anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out USA, where our tax dollars.
Chat's in as well, by the way, because we got to find out. Google's got to pay a little bit of tax and stuff. We all got to go that way to help Boris Johnson.
Yeah, we've all got to eat. So,
I was going to say shout out America, because we ain't paying for that. We're just paying for some senator to spend $390,000 a year on OnlyFans. That's what we're paying for.
Honestly, Jacob,
audacious. I love that.
The amount of money you can make. I've thought about it. Do you know, honestly, mate?
Mate, you would go down very well with a certain community, mate. They'd look at you like a twink. I think they go,
mate, honestly, some of these people are doing like 500 grand months. 500 grand months.
You would do.
You know that girl, Bad Barbie?
You would do unspeakable things for a trophy.
Disgusting things.
Bad Barbie made 18 million in her first year of going to OnlyFans. That Bad Barbie chick. So she got famous for being on Dr. Phil doing the Catch Me Outside. You remember the Catch Me Outside girl? That girl, she eventually changed her name to Bad Barbie, and then when she turned 18, she went on OnlyFans and made 18 million. So there's about 10 million folks waiting for this girl to turn 18 so they could spend money on her OnlyFans.
It's so weird, isn't it? What an indictment on the male race, the male.
And a lot of that was to U.S. senators. So shout out America for that.
Hang on, isn't she
shout out to Bad Barbie for making making her bag. Good luck.
No
to her.
shame in the game, girl. I'll do the
not
same
the
thing.
same girl, by the way. That did that Catch Me Outside video.
Well, she's had a little
I can
work
see why
done.
people are paying 18 million a year, mate. That is not the same person.
Oh well.
She's had a bigger glow up than flipping Romero from last season to this season. He's gone from certain people and off.
She's earning the bag, mate. She's earning the bag.
She's getting that money.
18 million.
A couple more years, she might be able to take over Tottenham. Well,
18 million a year. It's
listen,
outrageous.
good luck to anyone who wants to make money.
outrageous.
I'm all for it. Make your money however you got to do it, as long as you can sleep at night. Let's get back to Tottenham and Henry's first love, which is Aston Villa. They're coming up on Sunday, Henry. Are you slightly torn about this game?
Yeah, I'm 50-50, mate. Two of my favourite managers. No. I think it's going to be a tough game. I really. This is going to sound insane, right? But there's a method to this. And hear me out. I think there is a higher chance of us beating Man City than there is Aston Villa. And you're probably going to say you're because I look at Villa and he's going to set up absolutely perfect for what he's going to sit. He's going to sit deep and counter attack with Watkins, Diaby, and Bailey, and we can't break down low blocks. We struggle. We did it the last minute against Liverpool. We did it the last minute against Sheffield United. We managed the game out against Luton. We failed to beat Brentford. Man City, on the other hand, will be an end-to-end game, and there will be space in behind. And apparently, if Erling Haaland is out injured, right?
Is he out injured?
Yeah, Fabrizio was saying about it earlier.
But he said he should be back for Liverpool, right?
Oh, that's curtains then. But
he should be back for Liverpool.
That Villa game. Listen, mate, I'm worried. And the prices for tickets, by the way, 120 quid.
I heard Sava on the show earlier. Shout out to Sava, saying he would bite your hand off for a point against Villa, and he would bite your hand off to restrict Tottenham to less than 4 goals loss against Manchester City. And I was like, I mean, that's a little bit negative, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. Listen, I'm all for the honesty. That's how he feels. I'd bite your hand off for 4 points. I'd take my chances if you were offered 3 points right now.
Say honestly though, Sean, hand on heart.
If you were offered 3 points right now from the 2 games, would you bite someone's hand off for them?
Absolutely.
Would you bite your hand off for 1 point? Out
of the 2?
Or would you take your chances?
I think.
Oh, come on. We're Tottenham.
No, we've got to go for it against Villa.
There's no way we're getting 4 L's in a row. I've talked with some of the most optimistic Spurs fans, same Spurs fans who were saying we're going to win the league 3 weeks ago. And now they're saying, we're going to lose the next 2. That would be 4 L's in a row. That is unfathomable.
You watch the
it's not happening.
Ange full. Everyone's
and it'll be Alamate.
I'll
be honest, though. That being said, with all that negativity being said, we can beat Villa. They're not great away from home, right?
That's what I've been saying, mate. That's what I've been saying. They're terrible away from home.
European game on the Thursday, which they have to win to qualify.
Wasn't it Newcastle and Liverpool that they lost to away from home? Anfield and St. James.
Don't bring me stats that undermine my opinion.
Sorry, that's my fault. You invited me here, and I did that like
another
foul mouth.
Dare make me look stupid.
You said terrible. I was like, they've lost some points. Yeah, at Anfield, St. James too.
I'm sure Aston Villa have also lost other games away from home.
Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, they lost to Nottingham Forest 2-0.
2-0. That's what gives me hope. If you could do that versus Nottingham Forest, why can't we? I don't see 4 L's in a row.
There's no reason why we can't. But the thing
they drew at Wolves.
The difference is right. Nottingham Forest played a compact.
That's a tough place to go, Sean. Show some respect.
There was a low block that Nottingham Forest played, right? We're going to do the opposite. We're going to play a high line. And with Dyer and Davis up against Leon Bailey, Diaby and Watkins, there's only one winner in a foot race.
You ever seen Western Henry?
I was saying about Ange the other day. In game to game, you have to be adaptable, in my opinion. I'm all for long-term Ange ball. I'm all for it. I think it's going to be great. But when we haven't got the best players and the best personnel to play Ange ball at this moment in time, you have to adapt to game.
Wasn't that what he tried to do versus Wolves? And then now he's getting slammed for going back on his laurels
for 89 minutes.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is he's damned. No, Ange Postecoglou's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Because if he doesn't change his tactics versus Wolves and the same result happens, it's, why are you still sticking to your guns and you're not adaptable, like what you're saying? But then when he does adapt and he does change his tactics slightly versus Wolves, because I agree with you, we don't have players that can play that high line. Everyone knows that when you take Mickey Van de Ven's pace and ability to tackle out of the equation, we look a lot different. So I just think it's a tough position for him to be in. I mean, I get it. He's the manager. He should be critiqued based on his decisions. But it's like, I just feel, at what point is it, let's just take the option that, he didn't do this, so let's say, whoa.
Yeah, he can't win.
No, wait, outside. Sean, whoa.
Catch me outside with my double thumb.
I was unfamiliar with your game, sir. Damn.
Smash the like button, like the little thing.
Does it work for me too?
That. No, that don't work for you, mate. You got to have a MacBook.
You can't see that in approximately 16 days, by the way.
Yeah. Listen, this is the shamelessness of Henry Wright. Okay, I love Henry, but he spent the last 3 months.
What happened there? Am I lagging out?
Wow. He's got control of my stream. He drops me out. Catch me outside.
Oh, he's catching you somewhere. That's for
basically,
sure.
I was against Sean for ages about having a Mac. So I went and bought a super duper PC that's got like 16 core, 2 terabyte of whatever it is. It's a super duper gaming PC and it's broken.
Well, what do you know?
After 10 months.
Because he's been looking at OnlyFans, Catch Me Outside.
Spending 340,000 a year on Catch Me Outside.
And now, after he's been sitting there telling me for the last 4 or 5 months, going, mate, no one gets a Mac anymore. What are we? 2015?
If you got a map with the M2 chip processor, you're going to be great.
M3 Pro Max.
He's just gone and spent it. He's just gone and spent top
the
whack
M3. On it. You've got the
M3 Pro Max.
I have the M1 when it first came out, and it was game. They tested the capabilities of the MacBook Air with the M1 chip versus the MacBook Pro with the highest level of everything, and it competed on every facet the same. And so they were saying
it's a spaceship, basically.
Yeah, and I've been rocking it for this is like 3 years now.
Yeah, it's still not bulletproof though. So if you go to certain websites, Henry, you're going to get the same output as what you got on that last fucking.
Apple's actually really good against all that.
Right?
Apple's really good against all that. You'll be all right, Henry. Don't worry. You don't have to change for anybody. You
can go on and spend $8 a month for Catch Me Outside. How about that?
You can't see what Catch Me Outside's doing, mate. You can get yourself inside, and
you can F off down to Riley Reid and pay.
If someone super chats £8 right now, Sean can sign up for a membership today.
Speaking of super chats, we got Donovan Osterreicher. I'll talk to you in a second, Ellie, saying we need to scout the winger who cooked Henry today. Yeah, who was that guy? Henry, talk to us about this guy. He's just strong.
I think his name was Ethan. He was like,
he caught you down the outside.
I'm not in great shape anymore. I used to be quite like chiseled and that. I used to go to the gym quite a lot. Nowadays, I'm getting back into it. I've run 15K this week so far.
Did you get married?
5 days.
Is that what happened?
Sorry?
Did you get married or move in with your missus? Is that?
Wow.
He ran 15K this week because his car ran out of petrol and he had to get himself down the Texaco station.
Yeah, I had to get myself down to the Emirates because that's where I'm effing off down.
You didn't trust the progress.
This guy was absolutely incredible. I'll play today.
Ellie, just a girl who loves. Ellie, have you moved? Have you moved channel?
I think.
Are you with Kate now?
I think that's her subtle way of saying yes.
Yeah. Congratulations on the move. Levy's in the business of football on the pitch. He's failed us. He pulls the plug at the opportune moments, and the buck stops at him as he's the boss. Yeah,
element of truth in there.
I don't agree with that, Ellie, personally. I mean, listen, I think if the buck stops at him, that's a fair argument. I've said it a million times, but you've got to be consistent. Anyone's got to be consistent. If the buck stops at him for all that's bad, then the buck stops at him for all that's good. And the people that say he's the boss, therefore he's
just on that. Just play devil's advocate.
They don't say the same things about things that are good with Tottenham.
Just play devil's advocate. What would you say in the last 10 years, the best three, other than the stadium, the best three things Levy's done?
What do you mean?
Like, what would you say that Tottenham have done as a football club? In the
hiring Paratici, hiring Big Ange.
Poch?
You said in the last 3 years.
10 years. Last 10 years.
Last 10 years. Yeah, all the things that have been good about the football club, right? The training ground, the stadium, being sustainable, getting into the Champions League 15 out of the last 16 seasons. If you're going to criticize him for all that's wrong, you have to say everything that's right about the football club is also at his feet. You can't sit there and be inconsistent and say all that's good, all that has been good, all that, the Pochettino era, that was all on Pochettino, but everything that's wrong was on him. No, if we're going to go to this level where you say the recruitment and the performance and everything that's good is on Poch, then all that's wrong is also on the people at that level. But if you're going to go one level up and say the buck stops at the top, then everything that's good about Tottenham is on his shoulders and everything that's bad is. And I think over the 20 years, generally speaking, considering where Tottenham started and where Tottenham are now, especially considering the reality that, of all of the trophies that have been winnable in the Daniel Levy era, 91% of them have been won by 5 teams. And of those 5 teams, about 65% of them have been won by Manchester City and Chelsea in that era. And those 2 might be cheated or might have been cheating. Then I think that people need to go easy on it. I think
the argument always comes back to is and I'm not saying it's relevant to the teams where they are now, because teams like Portsmouth have won an FA Cup, they're now in League One. Swansea have won a League Cup, they're now in the Championship. The one that always gets used is Leicester's league title, but the one
and where are they now?
Sorry,
and where are they now?
Precisely. The one that's annoying is Leicester still, when they were scrubbing for relegation, managed to pick up an FA Cup. Whereas we get into those games and our fans act like we're this powerhouse. If you look at the last 5 FA Cup 5th round games, we've lost to Everton, Sheffield United, Norwich, Southampton, and Norwich. Right, we're better than all of those teams.
Yeah, I think. But is that Daniel Levy's fault, or is that on the manager, or is that on the players?
It is and it isn't, because he chooses the players that we have at the football club. But at the same time, he's not in control of them.
Look,
so
for me,
it's a mixture. You got to say someone at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, someone is accountable.
No, I don't think there's ever one person that's accountable. I've said it a million times. A pizza pie, a blame, and everyone gets a slice. Some slices are bigger than others. But ultimately, when you're competing with teams that are funded by nation states, and it's not even like they needed to cheat, by the way, they've got more money than sense. And yet Manchester City, if it's true what they've done, they've got all this money. They got all this. They can employ people off the books that are brilliant accountants, brilliant strategists, brilliant tacticians that can come in and figure out how to run multi-club ownership models. They've got every single thing in their favor, and they still cook the books. They still pay their managers, allegedly in contracts to go to Abu Dhabi for a weekend, and we'll give you £1 million or £2 million, so we haven't got to put it through the Manchester City books. And we're still going to ask Etihad Airways and every other private company in Abu Dhabi to sponsor the club. That it's all part of the same ownership anyway, because you can't own a private company in Abu Dhabi. But they still cook the books. They have everything going for them. It's like
private.
It's almost like Jay-Z having all the money in the world and still being a drug dealer. Like, when's enough, mate? You don't need to do that anymore, bro. You're making $1 billion from your music. You don't need to do other things, and they still do it. Do you know what I mean?
I think City will get off. I think Chelsea will get a sanction.
If they get off, it's a farce. They can't possibly. And look, listen. If they're innocent of the charges, then of course, fine. But if you've set the precedent with a 10-point deduction for Everton for breaching one rule, and Manchester City are alleged to have breached 115, if they are guilty of 10% of the charges against them, then they need to have 100 points deducted. And I don't know when you do it, how you do it. I think you got to kick them back to what happened to Rangers. Didn't Rangers get sent not just down to the division below? Didn't they get sent back to like the Stone Age?
Yeah, 3 divisions. They lost all their players. They went down to the SBL 3 or whatever it's called. But Man City. I'll tell you now, they're one of these football clubs that have the best of everything, and they will have the best people in the world working on this. And there's a reason why the one case that Everton did, which was only last summer, by the way, we're talking about, or 3 years ago. Sorry, Man City have been doing this for a decade. This will drag on for 2, 3, 4 years.
Yep.
Let's be honest. And
I see this going 20 years.
Well, listen, I don't know. It's like it's taken 5 years to build a thesis. I think they should do it. Hang on, Brycey, good to see you. Sean, are you going to conveniently ignore that our owner ain't exactly clean and has a murky-looking future? I'd highly doubt that Levy isn't involved. Listen, do what you got to do. It's a straw man argument. I want everyone to be investigated. I think that if Manchester City are guilty, you've got to punish them. If Chelsea are guilty, you have to punish them. What worries me is that Chelsea are only being investigated because they themselves owned up to the things that they found in the books that the investigators, the auditors, never did. Under Abramovich's reign. If Chelsea had never, if Todd Bowley had never come clean, I don't think it would ever. Can I
play devil's advocate on this as well? I'm sounding like you.
Do it.
Chelsea were ordered. Roman Abramovich was ordered by the UK government to sell the football club because of his relationships with Russia, right?
Uh-huh.
Is there an argument to say that do Chelsea have to have these sanctions against them, knowing that the new owner has come in, which had no relation to anything that the previous regime did?
Doesn't matter. They bought a club, but they're still benefiting from the drip down effect of the value of the.
But at least they said, "Hang on, this isn't right." Like at least someone of the new ownership come through. Rowan, if they didn't do that, then who would have known what else was going on?
Yeah, but that's like saying if you to be hyperbolic, if you own up to the crime, if you plead guilty, should you then get off rather than pleading not guilty? And
but wouldn't it make more sense for them to fine Roman Abramovich because all the staff?
No, because Chelsea are still benefiting from it. All the players they buy now, on some part, are looking at Chelsea going, Chelsea's attractive. Well, why would you sign for Chelsea? Oh, well, look how much they won in the last 10 years. Yeah, they won whilst cheating, so that there's a dripping effect. That brand value has benefited Chelsea and will continue to benefit Chelsea into the future.
Listen, I think this is going to drag on for a long time. I don't think this is going to be solved anytime soon. I'll be honest with you, mate. I
agree with that as well.
One more thing we got.
Go on, mate.
Go on. Sorry. I was just quickly. Blaine coming in with a super chat. Big up, Blaine. Here's a thought. It's another thing that's going to drag on for a long time is the Ndombele saga. Why don't we just loan Ndombele to OnlyFans to pay his wages? I'm certain 20,000 people will pay £10 a month to see him getting messy with hamburgers.
Get a mukbang channel for Ndombele. That'd be a lot of fun.
Listen, there's a market for everything. If you've got the access to the internet, there's a market for everything. I don't know what he would do with hamburgers. I think cheeseburgers.
Did you guys see the 2,000 pint guy?
I've never heard of that.
He drunk 10 pints a day for 200 days and earned thousands out of it. I'm talking thousands out of it.
What?
Most people do that.
I do that on a Monday.
No, Sean, he's skinnier than me.
Guys, I do got to go. My guest is in the back of the show, the other show.
Cheers, Jacob. I'm gonna send everyone over to your channel in a second, mate. Appreciate you coming on, buddy.
We're gonna wrap up. Appreciate the both of you. Y'all have a great rest of the show. All right, everybody, hit those likes. Quit being a bunch of bozos. That's what I got.
Cheers, Jacob, mate. See you in a second.
Bye.
Take care, mate.
Yeah, he did 10 pints a day for 200 days, right? And earned thousands out of it. And now he's nicknamed the 2,000 pint guy.
Listen, I think I could do that, you know. I've been trying to quit alcohol. I battle alcohol every day. I've been trying to quit, but if there's a ticket to, you know.
No, you don't.
No point. We'll deal with that another time.
What do you think about this Rafinha thing, by the way? Have you seen the report?
Rafinha to Tottenham?
Romero swap deal.
It's never going to happen.
And put an argument towards it, an argument. If it was Rafinha and cash, for Romero, would you take it?
Not unless we've got options. Well, listen, I'm okay with selling Romero if we were to get 70 million and we had 2 more brilliant centre backs lined up, and if Ange knew the players he wanted and identified them and all that stuff. I'm okay with Romero leaving the football club. I'm okay with it. I do think he's a little bit, reckless, but I don't want to just take the chance.
Okay,
And
if it was
Rafinha's awesome,
Rafinha,
maybe he's on 300 grand a week wages. I just don't see that happening in any way, shape, or form. Do you?
if it was Rafinha and I don't know 20, I don't know what's he worth. Let's say hypothetically it was 20 million and Rafinha for Romero, would you take it?
20 million plus Rafinha? No.
You wouldn't take it? What about if it was 30 million and Rafinha? Bearing in mind, I'm not saying that he's level
60 million Rafinha, 60 million plus Rafinha, and they get
60 million.
Hang on,
Rafinha.
and they get Romero and Richarlison.
Do you know? I see something on Twitter earlier. Every 18 games he gets a red card.
Yeah, it's too much.
He's been red carded more than anyone in the league.
It's too much. You know what? I've very much warmed up to, by the way, the Lloyd Kelly transfer. I think he would be. I'm on board with it. I'm very much on board with it.
This is the same guy that on the journey back from Wolves was telling me how he didn't want the. How have you come around to this idea?
Because I've figured out the.
Do I need to get a thumbnail ready for tomorrow about how I want to sign Lloyd Kelly too?
So listen, there's horses for courses, right? There's certain players that do well in certain situations and others, and they don't in others. And I think that, like Harry Maguire, right? Decent centre back, as long as you've got 3 centre backs or two other centre backs around him, and he's playing against a team that's strong in the air or that puts the ball in the air, and that it's a low block team. I think Harry Maguire would look very good playing for a team like Bournemouth, playing for a team like Fulham. I think Harry Maguire would go and do a very good job. Playing for Tottenham, he'd absolutely terrible. Lloyd Kelly, I've gone and done a lot of digging into his highs, his lows, his everything. So I've gone into Y-Scout on depth. And I think that the reason why Lloyd Kelly is a bit meh on paper is because he plays in a low block Bournemouth team on the left back. He's got no one around him that's any good. And I think that he's facing teams that are coming at him all week, every week. And he's not being used in his best form. He doesn't get to express himself for what he's good at. And if you look deep into under the kind of covers, you'll see a player that is very, very quick. He's very, very good in the tackle. He's brilliant getting back and sliding in. He's got a lovely left peg on him that can progress the ball forward. He's comfortable carrying the ball forward. And he's also very vocal. He's very, very comfortable, like leading and being a bit dominant. I think he was actually a captain.
Did you not put an argument together for Tosin?
I'm just saying that you might look at him at Bournemouth and go, but I don't think that he suits the Bournemouth, the what's offered, system. What he has to do at Bournemouth. I think if you put him into a team where he can express himself on the ball, and in the scenario where the ball gets put over the top, I think he could be a little mini Van de Ven in the making. Not of the same level. I'm not sitting here saying he's the next this and that, but I think he's far better for our system than he is for the system he currently plays. And so I am okay with going and sign it for 15 million quid in the summer, in the January.
Could you not say the same about Tosin Adarabioyo?
Yeah,
playing in a low block Fulham system, come out of City's academy, so he's going to be.
Problem with Tosin Adarabioyo is though he's got bad concentration, he's injury prone.
Bad concentration though. I think that's it's a lot worse to do that in a low block where you're defending a lot of the time. For us, like we're attacking for 70% of the game.
I'm okay. Tosin coming in to be back up to Romero on the right, but we need a left back. We need a left-sided centre back with a left foot. I think Lloyd Kelly makes a lot of sense. I've been looking into it, and every time I see him do something really good historically in the Y-Scout, I'm like, what he does really well, he doesn't get to do very often at Bournemouth, because Bournemouth, they always park the bus and against bigger teams, and they face the ball. He's facing teams coming at them. Whereas at Tottenham, he'd be facing teams that go over the top. And he's very quick. He's very strong. He's a good passer. He's a good communicator. I think there's more logic to it than I gave credit for. So, like I say, I'm not sitting here saying I think he's going to be a world-class player. I just think that you'll see the best of him in the Tottenham system.
I think there's probably an argument there that you know, playing in the system. You can say the same about Romero. Last year he was horrendous, running out of his defensive line, smashing people in the air. Now you're seeing a better Romero because he's playing in a better system. I do see what you're saying. I just feel that
you've got to find horses for courses, mate. Square pegs for square holes. People are saying I'm talking out of my arse.
Well, if you can't see what Spurs Talk Show's doing, mate, you can have off down to Henry Wright TV and hit that subscribe button.
Per Schurz, Madsy, he got a ACL injury, mate. He's done.
He's out till March.
Yeah, he's not coming in. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to send you guys over to Jacob's channel. Stay where you are. If you are inclined for yet more degenerate Tottenham talk, then we have got more for you over on Jacob's channel shortly. Henry, mate, what's coming up tomorrow this week on Henry Wright TV?
Tomorrow I'll have Leon, and there'll be a transfer video out. I'm got no doubt we'll probably be doing a lot of Tottenham content together, myself and Sean. Just shamelessly, we are 30 subs off.
Got to get back to shameless football as well. Got to do it.
Yeah, I know. I've been a bit unwell recently. You've been a bit unwell. Our timing isn't great. I mean, the Premier League prediction show, we've only done 7 out of or 4 out of 13. But make sure you get over to Shameless and subscribe. Make sure you like Sean's video as well. Next week, it will be the same time, 9 p.m. on my channel, talking about Tottenham versus
what happened in the Aston Villa game, wasn't it?
What's your score prediction for that right now?
2-2.
I'm going 2-0.
To Villa?
No, to us.
Oh, yes, that's shameless. Because I've still got that text message. I remember that conversation.
No, listen, there's been I've had a clear out of all WhatsApp messages, mate.
Nice.
If you can't see what WhatsApp's doing, mate, you can F down the Facebook Messenger.
Nice one. All right, we'll be back on Henry's channel this time next week, 9 o'clock. Over on Henry Wright after the Tottenham game. Both of us will be at the game, so we'll be getting back and then getting live with you, talking about whatever's happened. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, smash onto Shameless, and I'll put all the links for Henry. They're already in there, I think. Henry and Deji and Jacob in the description. Stay right where you are, guys. We'll send you over to Jacob's right now. Appreciate you all. Thank you very much to everyone in the super chats. Inakoma, Ian, Blaine, Donovan, and Ellie. Appreciate you guys. You're all wonderful. Love you all. Speak to you soon. And as always, come on, you Spurs.